Welcome to Raw Talk, Real Healing.
It's like therapy, but with more laughs and less copays.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Diana.
We're licensed therapists.
But here, we just want to have raw and unapologetic conversations.
So come vibe with us. We're professional meets personal.
Let's get it.
Hey, girl.
Hey, Diana.
How are you?
I am back, jet lagged, but better than ever. And we're back with better than ever audio. We are so high tech. This is crazy.
I love this for us.
Hopefully you guys like it too. Jasmine, I hope we don't scratch your ears anymore.
So today we have such a good episode.
We do.
I'm so excited for this episode.
Let's get into it.
Let's get it. Boundaries.
Are non-negotiable.
Yes. That's my favorite word. Well, one of my favorite words.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable.
Definitely.
Boundaries are so important, guys.
I think it's important to say what an actual boundary is, right? I feel like nowadays boundaries is like one of those buzzwords that we hear all the time. And I think people have misconceptions of what they might be. So I would say that, boundaries are definitely put in place for either ourselves and other people to protect our own peace, to have like good emotional state, mental state, and physical well-being.
Everything, all of it. I think that an important thing to talk about is like, what do boundaries look like? I feel that people aren't really sure when we're talking about boundaries, or like, well, how do I put a boundary in place? What does that even look like? It's setting clear limits on your time, on your energy, your space, your emotions. Like, we don't have time to just waste those kinds of things. You have to be able to communicate your needs. Communicating your needs are so important. No one's a mind reader.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. So communicate those needs. Everyone isn't in your head. So everyone doesn't know what you need. So boundaries look like self-love,
self-care,
self-respect.
I think self-care is a boundary. So what does it not look like though?
It doesn't look like being rude, not caring about other people.
Or being controlling or manipulative. I think a lot of times, because it is that buzzword, people on social media talk about using boundaries and setting boundaries. And I think their idea of what a boundary is comes from the right place, but their deliverance of the boundary is what makes it not appropriate. So when we are delivering our boundaries and asking people to respect our boundaries, we should also be asking them with respect, not being mean, not being, controlling, and not making it look like we're trying to avoid something or make excuses for something. This has to come from a place of healthy intention, but we also have to deliver it in a healthy way too.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, well, this doesn't make me feel good. I don't care about what you feel like. This is my boundary and that's it. No, that's not what a boundary is.
Right. And I think that's kind of what makes boundaries, or that term, I'm going to set this boundary, come with like a bad reputation or like bad connotation, because it's this idea that I'm going to lay this law down. I'm going to stand on business. I'm going to be, whatever. And you're just going to have to follow it. No. Not how it works.
And I think that's the misconception that people have when it comes to boundaries. And that's why it's like the villain in every conversation.
Right.
It's like, who do you think you are setting a boundary with me? But listen, boundary is self-love for yourself and respect for other people. This is how I want to be treated. This is how we maintain a good and healthy relationship.
Right.
Because I know what makes me feel good. And I'm showing you or telling you what makes me feel good because I want to maintain that with you.
Right. So I'm going to ask you the question today.
Okay.
What is...
Oh.
I know, I put you on the spot.
Right. I don't like that.
Oh, you don't. Because neither do I. So I'm going to ask you, what is a personal boundary that you have set in a time where it could be difficult, but you've been consistent?
I think you know what this one's going to be. Because it's in our group chat and I get on everyone's nerves.
Yeah.
So an important boundary that I have set is my non-negotiables and boundaries with working out.
Yeah. She's killing it. She's killing the game, I must say.
I'm really so happy with that decision. And it is a boundary because it's a boundary with myself that I've made to feel better,
Mhm.
do better, look better, because it gives me more energy, more motivation. I'm more disciplined. And
Yeah.
so I have set my boundaries of kind of like just being healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think you do it in a good way too. So it's like you're not out here, overkill. You're not working out, 6 days a week for 2 hours a day. Like I feel like a lot of times when people start this, journey of wellness and fitness and all this stuff, they think that it has to look like an influencer, and it doesn't. And I feel
No.
like you have found that good balance. Like you still come out, like you'll eat the good food, you'll have the drinks, you'll still eat your sour cream and onion dip. Like it still looks like health, wellness with a balance.
And that's the part of it too, is like I'm not depriving myself from
No.
anything, but because I know I like to enjoy those other things and our time out and with family and all that good stuff, I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter if I'm tired, it doesn't matter if I feel like it doesn't matter what it is. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
I know you kill it.
Catch me in the gym. If I'm tired, if I didn't get sleep, I don't care. I am there. It's funny because my client was like, but what if you like wake up and you're like, I just really don't feel like it. And like, she's just like, you're so tired and you just don't. And I'm like, so how many times don't we feel like doing a lot of things?
Right. Like sometimes we don't feel like getting up for work and we come anyway
Exactly.
because we have to.
Yes. And I know for me, I have to make sure that I keep this going because I feel good.
Right.
And it puts me in such a better mood. My
Mhm.
communication, my energy, my motivation, what I give is so
Mhm.
much better.
Absolutely. And I think too, like, we talked a little bit about that balance, and I know you've been getting on me also about this, but I feel like when I originally started this, and I don't know if I already spoke about this or what, but I've been trying to find that balance. And I feel like because that balance is so hard to find sometimes, I haven't been able to get back into the groove. But I will say, my vacations are done. I have some things still kind of coming up, but I'm going to try really hard to get back. I'm starting with my meals and I'm going to slowly transition to get back to like a regimen with working out. I'm going to try to like, how you do like your 4 days? I think what I'm going to do is pick what days and then like schedule work around that too. Because my problem right now is I can't get the fuck up. I can't get up.
You just got to do it.
I overslept so bad today,
I know.
but we made it work.
So, question for you. Do
Mhm.
you feel like setting boundaries is easy for you? Or do you have a hard time like setting specific boundaries?
Yes, I do. And I think I've always had a hard time. And I think that that's kind of normal for a lot of people. Like if you weren't shown good boundaries or if you weren't taught that like this is what this looks like, you don't know. And
Yeah.
I've only learned what it was throughout my own therapy and, being a therapist and stuff like that. But unless you are shown this and taught this, you don't know. And I think a lot of times when you're not given that example, it's also not normal for you. There were like boundaries and things like that, I would say, in my home and in my family, but in certain aspects, it's like, okay, it's okay. So I think it is definitely hard for me because I think in moments I am a people pleaser. And I know I've talked to you about this before, but I don't know if we've talked about it on a podcast. But I definitely pride myself on like being a shower upper for my friends. And I feel like a big part of that comes from people pleasing.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling with something right now, like in my personal life, that I'm like, I really want to do this, but I already said yes to this. And it's like, I'm trying to think, like, would this other person go against their boundary for me or not? So I don't know. It's definitely hard. I mean, there are certain times where I feel like I can sit through that guilt and I can work through, like, what are my needs and what do I want? But other times I feel like it's really hard, especially when it comes to boundaries with myself.
Yeah. And that's why I set that non negotiable
Mhm.
boundary of working out because I've always started, but I've never saw it through. Like, I've
Mhm.
never been so consistent. And it's like, I do so much for other people. And I'm
Yeah.
always there. I always show up, a show upper. I like that. But how can I show up for myself? And
Right.
this is how I show up for myself. That's important.
I feel like I did really good for a really long time. in a lot of these different aspects. And I just feel like lately I've like slipped off. I don't know what's going on.
You just need a reset, girl.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Reset. I need to I mean, obviously I've had a lot of life transitions. I feel like that has probably contributed, but definitely got to work on it.
Yeah.
Definitely got to work on it.
When I think about boundaries too, like learning and getting so good at like setting boundaries, I think about dating.
Yes.
You know?
I feel like that's one place where I am good with them. And I think that I'm good with them there because of past experiences where I'm like, okay, I don't ever want to feel like that or put myself in a position like this again. So that's where I'm like really hard with my boundaries. So I really want to talk about this part because I feel like this is so important. So we talked about like non-negotiables being so important and one of our favorite words, but I think when you're dating, especially now, not later in life, but like we're not 20, 21, 22 anymore. So I would think when we're dating, it's like we need to date with that intention of what do I want out of my life? What do I want out of this relationship? Having those hard conversations of what are you looking for? And I think sometimes society kind of tells you that like that's a conversation that you shouldn't have. Like, oh, you're going to scare that person away. And I
Right.
just don't think that that's not how it works. Cuz if I'm going to scare you away, then you're just not for me.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I feel like we would have better relationships.
Yeah.
We would see healthier relationships all across the board if we knew how to implement those things. If
Yes.
we were okay with, we know what makes us feel good. And
Right.
we don't because we just kind of like go with the flow sometimes.
Right.
And we'll wait and we're just doing things that don't even align with our values and
Right.
goals. And because we're scared of what society, might think,
Mhm.
say, or feel. And like, who the hell cares?
And I think like as human beings, like we all have that rejection wound, right? So rejection sucks. And I think sometimes we go against like our own personal boundaries because we don't want to feel that rejection. So it's like, okay, I'm just going to use religion. If religion is really, really important to me and, I want my partner to, practice with God and all of that with me, and I'm scared to tell them that because I'm going to scare them away, are my needs truly going to be met because I went back on my own boundary of this is important for me in my relationship? I think that just shows like, okay, if I tell you this and that's not what you're feeling, we're just not a match. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That is okay. And I think in these moments, people take that personal.
They do. But I really like that example because believe it or not, that's a huge thing now in relationships. And we wait all the way until like 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. And then like you've accepted this whole time.
Right.
And now you want something different. And then when it's not reciprocated or when it's not like there, then it's a problem.
Right. And I think it goes the same with like kids or marriage and stuff like that. Like if you don't have these conversations early on, and then it's like 2, 3 years later, and you're like, oh, like, where is this? And they're like, oh, I don't want that. It's like holiday hootie woody. I did that just for you.
Oh my God. I love that. That is hilarious. But no, you're absolutely right. Set those boundaries. I always say boundaries like this little thin line or
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Right here, this feels good. I like this. I
Yeah.
can thrive right here. Anything over here, like it doesn't sit well. It's
Yeah.
be anxious.
Yep.
Or depressed, or I just don't
Guilty.
feel good, guilty. And so, like, that's how you know if
Yeah.
I need to reset that boundary, which brings me to the next part is setting the boundary might be a little bit easier because we kind of know what that feels like for us. But the hardest part about boundaries is staying committed to the boundary.
Right.
We have bad habits sometimes that
Mhm.
we've learned, like people pleasing, not listening to ourselves, not slowing down. And so we will allow excuses or manipulation
Mhm.
from other people to kind of like set us away or take our focus out of what that boundary is. And we need to pay attention to that because staying
knew it.
committed is the hardest part.
I really want to touch on that word manipulation, because I think with that manipulation is when we feel that guilt. And I think when we do set boundaries and people don't like it because their needs aren't being met, they want us to feel guilty. They want us to feel like we're doing something wrong when we're not. Just because we're honoring our own needs and not theirs doesn't mean that what we're doing is wrong.
Right. I like that because it is. That's so true. Which brings us to the most important segment of the show.
I love how you cheese so hard every time you say that.
The 4 C's of boundary
Right.
setting, guys. Write these down, put them in your notes, something.
Are we ready? Consciousness, clarity, communication, and commitment.
That's right. So let's go back to consciousness.
Yes.
Be aware of what you're feeling so that you know where the boundary needs to start.
Right. And I think that also looks like, let's pay attention to what needs is this boundary meeting?
Yes. Yeah.
Why are we setting this? Because I think if we can identify that, the purpose and the intention of it is more clear, which
Brings us to number
2,
clarity.
we have to be clear about what our boundaries are in these different relationships and understand, the role that you play in these relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, if I didn't say it before, I don't know if we said this, when we are talking about boundaries, we're talking about boundaries in every kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Not just dating, family, friends, at work,
Yeah.
within yourself, and of course your relationships too. Like, know your roles and make it clear.
I want to even say with your pets, but Carmi's sick today.
Yeah, me and Olaf got some real clear boundaries. So number 3, communication.
This looks like clear communication, but also being able to take responsibility for your own feelings and using like I statements, because nobody can make us feel any way. We can feel something, but we have to take accountability for that. And even though it may come from somebody else's actions, it's still, I feel hurt.
Right.
I feel hurt when you do this.
Yeah.
Could you please, blah, 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 whatever that might look like. But I think it's really important that we communicate them clearly, make sure we're not being rude, make sure we're not being like disrespectful. If we want somebody to respect us, we should be giving respect also.
Yeah, absolutely. How we communicate our need is critical. I'm
Mhm.
not going to go up to you and with an attitude, because you're going to
Right.
get an attitude back. Like, if
Exactly.
you come up to me, I might give you an attitude back, or I'm going to walk away because I'm going to think you crazy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And like you said, those I statements are important, because something that we both know and teach a lot is when you're saying you're not doing this right, you don't know how to do this, you never can do this, it's an attack.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to get your need across, or whatever you want to communicate. But if I say, hey, I'm feeling, this when you blah, 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 that helps us like, okay, I think I know what you're getting at. And then we can
Right.
kind of like talk about something. Lastly, commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment. Everyone knows commitment is tough.
Yes.
And commitment with anything, especially huge things, because it's hard. It requires discipline.
Right.
It requires some non-negotiables. So this takes practice. Don't be hard on yourself if you're trying to set a boundary and you can't be
Yeah.
committed to it, because it is hard work, but it's so important.
And I think too, if we're not committed to our own boundary, it's going to be really easy for others to not respect it. So, when we're setting this boundary with other people and we get that backlash, that's when it's really important for you to stay committed and true to yourself. Because if you're not, who else is going to be?
Right. I say that all the time. Teach people how to treat you,
Yeah.
because they don't know. And setting boundaries from the beginning is the best way to do that.
Right. Because if you don't, you can be years down the line and you try to switch up, people are going to be like, whoa, what is you doing, baby?
Right. So guys, remember 5 key things out of today.
These are the takeaways.
Yes.
Know why you need to set your boundary, what need it's meeting, any other whys?
Why it's important to you.
Yeah, why is
do
it
you
important?
need it? Don't need it just because.
right? Like,
know?
what is this aligning with your values?
Yeah.
Because I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. Second, use I statements when we're communicating and setting a
Mhm.
boundary. Know that this is important for you. So I feel it's really important. That makes it seem like, okay, this is something that I'm doing,
Right. So when we are communicating it, it's really important to making sure that we're staying grounded, staying calm. Make sure you're checking in with yourself of, okay, this is important for me. I need this. If I want somebody to respect this, I need to deliver this in a calm and secure way.
Yeah. So 4, be prepared for pushback. Everyone won't understand, and that's okay.
Right.
Everyone doesn't know what you need or your boundaries, so they may not get it because they may not know how to commit to boundaries. They may not know how to set boundaries.
And they may not know what respecting boundaries looks like, honestly. Like, just like I said earlier, if you weren't shown this, where do you learn it? I think that goes for anything in regard to like emotional regulation or emotional maturity, emotional intelligence. If you're not shown and taught this, you don't know. Because it really is just pretty much led by example.
Yep, exactly.
So be prepared for that pushback. And I think that's when that guilt kicks in. And be okay with sitting in that guilt. Guilt is not appropriate because if you are respecting your own needs, sometimes that means that other people are not getting what they want, and that's okay. So, as long as you're not doing something to intentionally hurt or harm another person, your guilt isn't appropriate. And it's okay to sit with that and understand, like, okay, this is me meeting my needs. They're upset that they are not getting what they want. I'm not doing anything mean or harmful, so I'm good. I'm in the clear. We're not responsible for everybody else's emotions, only our own.
I cannot take on that emotional baggage.
So I think that brings us to number 5, which is a gentle reminder that we all need boundaries. So whether or not somebody respects them or not, we all need them. Boundaries are so important. They are a lifestyle, and you need to own it.
Yeah, I love that. Boundaries is a lifestyle. Make it work.
Do it. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode.
See you guys next week.
If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, please follow us on Instagram and send us a DM or send us an email to the platforms listed below.